Most people think that $2 million is the retirement finish line, and that is a great number to have and aspire to. But for many retirees, it's not the finish line at all. It's the moment that, frankly, everything changes. And the question stops being, can I retire? And becomes, can I actually give myself permission to live? Because here's the surprising truth. You can have $2 million saved for retirement and still hesitate before booking that trip of a lifetime, helping your kids, or remodeling the house, upgrading your lifestyle, or frankly just spending money on the things that you spent decades dreaming about. You can be financially independent on paper and still feel really anxious in real life. And for those that don't have $2 million, a lot of these mindsets still apply the same way. So whether you have $2 million or not, or you're working towards that, stick with me. The mindset here is really important. Welcome to the UnRetired, where you're not done, but you're finally doing what you want. If this is the kind of retirement planning, conversations about aging well and living intentionally speaks to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us build the community. And a quick disclaimer here, this video is for education and general information only. It's not financial advice because, as I always say, everybody's situation is so different that you have to run your own numbers, and if you can, consult with a qualified financial planner. All right, let's get into this. The big reframe on this mindset is $2 million does not end the retirement conversation. It changes the retirement conversation. And at that level, the challenge is often no longer just accumulation, it's about conversion. And you have to convert savings into income. You have to convert caution into confidence. And you have to convert a portfolio into your life. And this is what you need to remember. You did not save for 30 or 40 years just to admire your account balance. You saved so your money could eventually serve your life. Now, not everybody watching this has $2 million saved, and that's important for me to say that. That's a very aspirational number, and we need to keep that in context. Every retirement level, though, is going to have its own challenge, and whether it's at $500,000, retirement planning is often about margin. A 4% withdrawal rate might suggest around $20,000 a year before Social Security, pensions, or part-time income. And that can be meaningful, but every decision matters because there's less room for error. You've got housing, healthcare, taxes, Social Security, timing, and spending discipline, and they all require really critical thinking. Now, if we ratchet that up a bit at $1 million, the conversation changes again. And again, you need to think about this differently. A 4% withdrawal rate might support around $40,000 per year before Social Security or pensions. That can create real flexibility, especially if your expenses are controlled, your house is paid off, or you might have a side hustle with a little bit of income, or your Social Security income is also strong. But $1 million still requires some discipline. And it may feel like a lot, but over a 25, 30-year retirement, the money's not unlimited. Now, let's go up to the headline number of this video. At $2 million, the math often becomes much more forgiving. A 4% withdrawal rate suggests around $80,000 per year before Social Security, pensions, rental income, or part-time work. And for many households, that can support a really comfortable retirement and lifestyle. But paradoxically, this is where some retirees become even more cautious than those with even less money. And this is really poignant, so pay attention here. And this is what I call the $2 million paradox. The people who successfully saved $2 million usually got there by being super disciplined, really careful, very responsible, and really good at delayed gratification. Those traits are powerful when you're building wealth. But in retirement, those same traits can become a trap. Sometimes we call this the saver's trap. You may still feel guilty spending. You may worry every withdrawal is eating into your money that you worked so hard to build. And you may be afraid of inflation, healthcare costs, market crashes, taxes, or living too long. You may keep waiting for the perfect moment to start enjoying your money. And the habits that help you build that wealth can become the habits that stop you from enjoying it. And that's the emotional challenge that many savers do not expect. The goal is not to spend recklessly. The goal is not to pretend that the risk does not exist. But the goal is to understand that underspending can also be a retirement failure. And some people who retire with $2 million and die with $3, $4, or $5 million or more, not because that was their intentional legacy plan, but because they never gave themselves permission to use the money. And remember, we also talked about, people with $500,000 and $1 million, because they have to be a little bit more disciplined about their plan and their spending and maybe having side hustle income. A lot of them don't have the problem of over saving like the people that have 2 million. So the first trap is using old rules for a new level of wealth. Remember, at 500,000, the biggest question may be, can I make this last? At $2 million, the question becomes, how do I make this work intelligently? Simple rules of thumb can help you get started, but the more assets you have, the more coordination matters too. Your tax planning matters, your Social Security timing matters, Medicare and IRMAA may matter, Roth conversions make sense and can matter, estate planning matters, charitable giving may matter too, and your actual purpose for the money really matters most of all. And look, I'm not raising all this to make retirement planning more complicated. It's about making it more intentional. And again, when we go up to these higher amounts, like at 2 million, small mistakes can become big dollar amounts. But smart decisions can actually create much more flexibility, more confidence, and more freedom ultimately. The second trap is complexity creep. Once you've got a decent amount, let's say you've got that $2 million saved, people may start treating you like you need more sophisticated financial planning. That could mean private credit, structured notes, non-traded REITs, annuities, whole life insurance, boutique real estate deals, private funds, all kinds of exclusive sounding investments may start showing up in your inbox. Some complex investments may be legitimate, but complexity is not automatically better. High fees, low liquidity, confusing terms, surrender charges, tax surprises, or just a simple lack of transparency can quickly damage the flexibility you need in retirement. So what we're really saying here is at $2 million or more, your financial planning and your options can get a lot more complicated. But complicated is not the same thing as smart. A retirement plan should be understandable, flexible, tax aware, and align with how you actually want to live. And the other thing about keeping things simple is that not all of us are financial whizzes. In fact, very few of us are. So sometimes simplicity still wins. Now, here's where I want to ask you something. If you're retired or getting close, what number feels like enough to you? Is it 500,000? Is it $1 million? Is it a 2 million or something else entirely? And I don't want you to give me something, the pie in the sky fantasy numbers that we also talk about on this channel. Let's talk about realistic numbers. Drop it in the comments. I read every one of these, and I guarantee you your perspective is probably helping somebody else at whatever level you're at think about the way that they should be thinking about things. Now, let's get back to the list. The third trap is taxes, RMDs, and IRMAA. At $2 million, especially if a lot of your money is in, let's say, traditional IRAs or traditional 401ks, the tax picture becomes a lot more important. Required minimum distributions, they can create taxable income whether you need the cash or not. And higher income can potentially trigger higher Medicare premiums through IRMAA. And we'll have a video on IRMAA that talks about the specific complexities and intricacies of that as well. Now, $1 million in a Roth IRA, $1 million in a taxable brokerage account, and $1 million in a traditional IRA are not the same $1 million. Account type matters a lot because taxation matters. Flexibility matters, but withdrawal order matters. And this is where planning can make a real difference. For example, Roth conversion windows matter a lot. Withdrawal sequencing, that matters. Managing taxable income matters. Avoiding unnecessary IRMAA spikes, those also matter. Coordinating your Social Security with future RMDs, required minimum distributions after the age of 73, these matter too. And this is where you stop playing checkers with your taxes and you start playing chess. The fourth trap is the sequence of return risk. This is one reason $2 million can feel emotionally more fragile than a smaller amount and a lot more than people expect. A 20% decline on $500,000 is $100,000, and absolutely that is painful. A 20% decline on $1 million is $200,000, and yes, that's even more painful. But 20% decline on a $2 million number is $400,000. Now, those are the same percentage losses, but the absolute dollars are so much bigger on 2 million. And I guarantee that really it messes with your head a little bit. And when you're retired, the market doesn't just feel like a chart anymore. It feels kind of like your paycheck. And if the market drops early in retirement while you're taking withdrawals, the order of returns can matter a lot. And this is why retirees often need guardrails. One way to think about this is with buckets. Use the metaphor of buckets. You may have cash or short-term reserves for near-time spending. You may also have stability or income bucket for medium-term needs. And you may have a growth bucket for the long term and inflation protection. The point is not that everybody needs the exact same bucket strategy. No, the point is that you actually need a plan for what happens when the markets fall. If you know where your next few years of spending are coming from, you're less likely to panic sell long-term investments at the wrong time. That leads us to the fifth trap, and this is wealth without purpose. And this may be the most important thing about this entire video. At $2 million, the question is no longer only, will the money last? The deeper question becomes, what is this money for? Is it for travel, helping your children, grandchildren's education, charity, a better home, health and fitness, buying back your time, or creating memories while you still can? It also could be about leaving a legacy or supporting your spouse if something happens to you, funding experiences that matter more now than they will 10 years from now. At this level of savings, the real danger is not dying broke. For many $2 million retirees, the real danger is dying with unused freedom. Now, if you want to leave a large legacy, that's wonderful. That's your own prerogative. And that can be a beautiful goal, but let it be a conscious choice, not fear disguised as discipline. Spending with intention is very different than spending impulsively. And leaving money intentionally is very different than from leaving money accidentally because you were just too afraid to enjoy it. And this is where many successful savers, they need a permission structure. They don't always need a better spreadsheet. They need a clear system that tells them how much they can safely spend, when they should adjust, what happens if the markets fall, what is their discretionary spending zone, what it really is, and what spending would actually improve their life. Confidence around money, it doesn't come from having the perfect portfolio. Confidence comes from knowing what to do when life and markets change. And one practical idea is to create a go spend strategy. We spend entire lives around, a saving strategy and a build, accumulate wealth strategy. Now we want you to think about what's the go spend category. Not random spending, but intentional spending. And this could come in the form of an annual travel fund, a family memory fund, a health and vitality fund, a home improvement fund, a giving fund, a fund for experiences with your children or grandchildren, and a fund for things that would make your retirement just feel a little bit more alive and fulfilling. In other words, your money should support the life you are still here to live, not just the life that you're afraid might happen someday. Now, before I wrap up, if you're liking this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly videos that cover everything that is interesting about retirement, Social Security, purpose, and building just the better next chapter. We have a lot more videos coming for the people who are not done, but are finally doing what they want. Now we come to the major ultimate point. If you have $2 million saved, you likely have done the hard part. You saved, you invested, you delayed gratification, you made responsible choices. But now the challenge is different for you. The next chapter is not just about preserving your wealth, it's about using your wealth wisely. Now remember, we're not saying everybody's got $2 million, so we want to make sure we cover the whole spectrum. It's so important to get the mentality and the mindset of this higher amount because it's very instructive at all levels. At $500,000, the challenge is the margins. You have a nice chunk there, but you can't make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes it just forces you to be a lot more direct and just don't have as many choices. So you really have to just kind of do what is right in front of you. And at $1 million, it's a little easier. The challenge may be more about flexibility. But when you get up to $2 million, the challenge is often turning your money into freedom. And if you have $2 million saved, the question is no longer just, well, will I be okay? The question really becomes, what kind of life am I willing to build with the freedom that I've earned? Real retirement success is not only measured by how much money you keep, it's measured by how well you live once you earned it.